Hi everyone, welcome to another watercolor tutorial. Today I'm gonna paint a very expressive bunny just in time for Easter. And rabbits are a classic symbol of spring and renewal, making them a perfect subject for the season. So I'll walk you through my process step by step. And today's materials are cadmium yellow, yellow ochre, transparent orange, burnt sienna, burnt umber, and ultramarine blue. And also you can use masking fluid to keep the whiskers completely white. So let's get started. And this is my outline, and you can also see my reference picture. And for my underpaint, I've used cadmium yellow for the sunny sides of the bunny and ultramarine blue to mark the shadow areas. And for the first wash of the ears, I'm working wet on dry, and I'm starting with transparent orange and then going darker and adding my shadow colors, which is a mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. And what I'll do in this entire painting is using mainly yellow ochre and a little bit of burnt sienna to mark my warm sides, and a mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna or burnt umber for my shadowy sides. And especially on the right side, I also see some greenish tones, which is why I've mixed ultramarine blue with yellow ochre to create a rather grayish green mixture. For the bunny's ear, I'm also adding a little bit of quinacridone rose, which is optional. You could also use burnt sienna or alizarin crimson or any other kind that equals a pinkish tone. And for the face and the main body, I'm working wet on wet because it's a larger area we want to cover. And since I'm working on Arche cold press paper, the paper will stay wet pretty long. So just be mindful of the kind of paper that you're using, because hot pressed paper might dry faster, and then you could get into a situation where you get cauliflower effects. So yeah, as I said, the warm sides I use more burnt umber and burnt sienna and also yellow ochre, and for the shadowy sides I mainly use ultramarine blue and mix it with burnt sienna and even burnt umber. And to indicate the rabbit's fur, use the flat side of your brush and load it with a dark color mixture and use it as some kind of stamp where you see the fur be very prominent. Or alternatively, you could also use a dry brush and lift out some color. And it's very important that your paper is wet, and if you notice that it's drying, just get your hairdryer and dry the paper and then pre-wet it. And for the eyes, I'm using ultramarine blue for the rather lighter part, and then I'm using a mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt umber to indicate shadows, but I will put a second layer on it later on. So yeah, and make sure to leave out some kind of highlight. And as soon as the color is dry, you can put on your second or third layer and just use the same color mixtures as before so that the overall paint becomes more saturated. And always make sure that your strokes are following along the rabbit's fur. And for the eyelashes and the darkest parts of the eye, I've just added less water, but you could alternatively also use Payne's Gray and maybe mix it with burnt umber. And now let's get to my absolute favorite part, which is painting the background. So just wet the background and add whatever color you want to. However, I've used cadmium yellow and then mixed it with ultramarine blue. And I have experimented with the amount of ultramarine blue and cadmium yellow which I use. So for my darker areas, I've added more ultramarine blue. And for the lighter areas, especially on the bottom, I've used more cadmium yellow. And something I can always recommend is not using green straight from the tube, but to mix it from colors you might have used for your main subject, so that way you can keep color harmony. And now I'm using coarse grained salt and add it to create a very nice texture to my background. This is the part of the painting where you can add your darkest and most saturated colors, which means that you can use less water. And at this point I'm also removing my masking fluid, and it worked really nicely, so I can only recommend using it. And finally, you can add some white gouache to just mark your lightest areas, again, especially in the eye area and also some of the whiskers. And that's actually it. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. And if you do and want to support me, please subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up. And yeah, write into the comments and give me feedback. And hopefully I will see you soon. Thank you.